talk a little bit about, this is In Search of Wisdom, but a bit of your search. One of the things I love about your writing is you're not only searching for modern research, you're also looking at ancient wisdom from the East and the West, or wherever you can find these nuggets of wisdom, if you will. And what initially started this style of writing?
It's funny. It's fascinating to hear you say that, because, I definitely feel like the other thing is that I hope I'm honest in the book, that I'm not like someone who has gone in search of wisdom and found it all and is now smugly content that he has a perfect life. I think I'm as much searching as any of my readers. One reviewer about this book said that, made note of the fact that it quotes Heidegger and also Rod Stewart and Seneca, but also Danielle Steele. And it was funny to me in a way, because I never thought of doing otherwise, in a way. It's not like I deliberately set out to try to bring classical philosophy in touch with modern culture. I just sort of vacuum up ideas and interesting observations wherever I find them. I think I've always had that sort of attitude. And this involves two things. On the one hand, it involves not being intimidated by great thinkers who write big, intimidating books like Heidegger's Being and Time. And on the other hand, it involves the openness to thinking that somebody who you wouldn't necessarily think of as a great thinker maybe has something really important to say on those issues. And so I love finding those connections and finding that what Seneca said about something is sort of reflected in the way that Rod Stewart decides to live his life, or something like that.
I love that visual of vacuuming up ideas. It seems like you did the same in The Antidote, which I loved as well. There was so many different areas touched on there. Has that always existed? It seems like an insatiable curiosity. It might be easier to just focus on modern research and put it together.
I think what you're putting your finger on there, just speaking personally from my own journey, as it were, is that in some very fundamental way, I do think I'm a journalist. And I have always wanted to be a journalist since I was very young, and I spent a good chunk of my early years of my career doing very straightforwardly, news journalism, features journalism. And I've always been a little annoyed by a tendency among some writers of books to be quite disdainful of journalists. Now, we live in a different time now when the newspaper industry is collapsing and journalism means all sorts of things and there's lots of controversy. But the basic idea that you just sort of go out there with your notebook and ask around and see what's going on and pass it along instead of, in a way that to some people might seem a little bit superficial, right? Because you're sort of going everywhere and spreading the net, casting the net wide. I think that just comes from sort of enjoying journalism. And I think the other thing about journalists is that, or good journalism anyway, is that you're sort of a hopefully intelligent and hopefully articulate proxy for the reader. You're just another guy going and looking into something. Hopefully you can do it in a sort of eloquent fashion, but it's not like being the sort of, a professor of a specific niche area who then deigns to come down to the level of the ordinary people and make it accessible. It's like, no, just trying to find out what's out there.